Alrighty. So today we're going to go over a couple things, but first we're going to go over trade management, and then I will show you guys how to use Tradeovate's platform, and then also um, TradingView's platform, and then how to backtest and on Tradeovate and paper trade on Tradeovate. Tradeovate's just what I use. There I haven't even used NinjaTrader to be fully transparent, but Tradeovate just looks very good, and they also integrate with ThinkOrSwim. Now, I did paper trade on ThinkOrSwim via Tradeovate to test before I used my real money, and their P&L does lag just a little bit. So make sure you're either really quick with when you want to enter or exit, or have limits set. So just a little precursor there. But today we're going to go over trade management first, and this is just going to be my trade management. I'll have a slide explaining it, but trade management's an extremely personal topic because you have to know yourself, both psychologically but also trade system wise, to determine when you need to manage your trade and trim and things of that nature. So same disclaimer, none of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't claim to be one. I never want to be responsible for your money. I like to manage my own money, and that's it, make money off of my money. So this presentation is simply just to make sure you guys are a little more educated on topics that maybe you don't know much about, and hopefully that can help make you a better trader, and profitable if you're not, or make you more profitable if you're already profitable. Um, like I said in our last lesson, you should never take trade ideas because that's what all of my alerts are. They're just ideas. We're going to have another lesson about my expectations with why I send trade ideas, but my trade ideas are simply so that you can know what I'm doing in the market. If I'm buying or selling ES, it means that I'm, long or short, and then you can take a look at it for yourself and then determine if you have the same bias or maybe you don't. And if you have the same bias, then great. You can find out, what contracts you want to buy, or if you want to go long or short with me. But it is in no way a buy or sell signal. It's just telling you that I am buying or selling. And like I said, this is my personal trade management strategy. I'll tell you what I did to figure out my own trade management techniques. But trade management is very personal and a case-by-case basis. This is not advice on how you should trade or manage your own trades, but rather it is showing you how I manage mine. Um, and this is just going to give you the biggest techniques that really changed my P&L in the long term. So if anybody's like me, I am very numbers driven. I like to know um, how often I win and how much I win when I win. So what percentage I win. If I'm making 20, 30, 50% on my options contracts, I like to know that. If I'm losing 60% options contracts, obviously that's no bueno, so I like to know that. Um, Keeps you grounded, keeps you in the know of what you're doing in the market, and if you're tracking your trades, it also will help you keep yourself accountable because at the end of the day, if I have to put down a loss, it hurts a little more, and it hurts even more if I knew that a loss was something atypical of me, if it was a trade that was just too risky, or if it was pretty much just a gamble. So first things first, you have to find a winning strategy. We'll have a class in the future about my strategy briefly, um, but I trade almost everything. I've traded everything from Fibonacci retracements to EMA crossovers, EMA rejections, smart money concepts, the strat, Bollinger, everything. If there's a system that's pretty popular, I've probably used it in the past. My current strategy is just a hybrid of all of those. It's just the little baby from all of those strategies. And so You need to find a strategy that works for you, that is repeatable, and that does not take emotions into account. It should be very systematic. It should be cut and dry. If this happens, if I see this, then I'm going long or short. So you need to find a strategy that is predictable, and you need to backtest it. And I will give you guys an example of how I backtest um, both options, contracts, or futures. But you need to backtest, and you need to find a strategy that wins at least 51% of the time. Obviously, if we take 100 trades and we win 51 and lose 49, and we have a one-to-one risk reward, then we're going to come out making money. Obviously, we don't want to have to make 100 trades to come out 2 trades profitable, so we would obviously prefer something a little bit more in the range of 75 to 85%. Um, After we have a strategy that wins, we can calculate when we need to trim to become profitable. So, backtesting, I'll show you guys an example here, but you need to open up an Excel sheet, have a column for the following, and I'll show you my version of it. Date opened and closed, ticker symbol, price entered and closed, type of play, so either short or long if you're backtesting equities or futures, or a call or put if you are backtesting options. You need to calculate your win rate, which is obviously the most important, and then add your average win and average loss. You can backtest on anything. I have used TradingView, Forex Tester 5, and ThinkOrSwim's on-demand feature. Depending on how low time frame you go on TradingView, I believe their data for like a 5 minute is it's definitely less than a year. I think it's 6 months worth of data. So you don't get to backtest all the way to 2000, but you should get enough trades in a backtest to have the trade system characteristics repeatable. So I'll show an example here of a backtest that I've made, sheet that I've made. So here I have just a backtest of trading SPY contracts. I believe this was, it has its own Google Doc, but I believe this was trading the break of the high or low of the previous market or pre-market. And so you can see I only did this 40 times, but you would go into ThinkOrSwim's on-demand feature, and if you don't know what that is, we can show that during Q&A probably. But you can go on demand and back test, and then you would find a setup that you like to see, and then you would buy a contract with high volume, and then fast forward a couple minutes, and then reanalyze what your setup's looking like. So if you're going up or down, or if you need average down, etc., etc. And as you can see, I have a date open, date closed, ticker. For futures, this part wouldn't matter, but your contract strike price, type of play, so P is a put, C is a call. Expiration date, again, only applicable for options really. Purchase price and sold price. So, like I said, you should have a system that is very repeatable and vetted through backtesting, and that is foundational. There's no way around that. You should always know when there's a chance of you losing. This is important, especially for psychological trading, which I would argue is far more important than the technicals. Anybody can trade and make money sometimes, but if your trades are bigger, if your losers are bigger than your winners, then obviously you have a problem. And knowing that you are going to lose in your strategy, it makes it easier to swallow that pill that you might have a loss on your hands. So you need to calculate your win rate. You could back test, and then we showed that example there. So after you have a winning strategy, you need to find your average loss percentage. So your first trim, my first trim is always after that average loss. So for options, I know that my average loss is somewhere in the between 20 and 40% loss. So my first trim on options is never before 20 or 40% in that range. This means that you achieve a 1-to-1 risk reward, or 1R, And because of that, you know that with your win rate being higher than 51%, that you're going to be profitable long term. After 1R is achieved, you will see the abbreviation SLBE, which means stop loss break even. I do that because I never want a green play to turn red. Um, Again, back to psychological trading. If I see money that I could have had, and instead of taking that money, I'd lose money, it's going to hurt me more than if I just don't make any money after my trim. And here is my biggest pet peeve. Uh, every single person, no matter if you're a quote unquote analyst, no matter if you do this for a living or a hobby, you should be tracking your trades. Every single person should be tracking their trades. I'll show you an example of my trades in my tracker. It doesn't have to be super in depth, but you should at least know your win rate and your average percentage gains or losses. It's people who have a 95% win rate, while impressive, it doesn't matter unless you're losing the same amount of money as you're gaining. Because my win rate right now, I'm on a hot streak, 90 something percent, 96%. If my 5% of losers outweigh the other 96%, then I achieve nothing. I'm just as bad as somebody who has a 20% win rate and loses money. So you should always be tracking your trades. You should know where you stand on your average wins and losers, and you should just keep yourself accountable. Like I said earlier, even if you're not numbers driven, putting your trades in at the end of the day and seeing that you lost, 3 of 5 trades, it makes you think harder about your next trade tomorrow, since you know that you had a losing day the day before. So track your trades. It doesn't matter if you ever want to send trade signals, or if you just want to, make money on your lunch break. You should track your trades so that you know that you're profitable. Trade management after 1R, which is one risk reward. So for me, with futures, you always have if you hit at stop loss, it's a minus 100%. Um, for me, I risk the same amount of money per trade. So if I'm risking $500 or $1,000 per trade, it is always the same. It should never ever You should never risk more, even if you have a high conviction. You should never risk more in one trade than another trade, because this all comes back to numbers and statistically being profitable. If going back to my win rate, if I risk $100 on my 95 wins, I'm up $9,500. But if I risked, you know, $2,000 on my 5% losers, then I'm going to be losing $10,000 and I'm no longer profitable. So you should always risk the same amount of money. Well, I shouldn't say you, but I always risk the same amount of money per trade, because statistically you have to in order to be profitable. You can't risk more money, because if that higher, capital play ends up being a loser, you're going to wipe out several winners. So I always risk the same amount of money per trade. But with that being said, for options contracts, obviously you have a wide range of contracts that you can buy. You can buy a 60-cent contract. You can buy a $5 contract. Um, I have found more success buying multiple contracts instead of just one or two contracts. Even if I can afford a $5 or $6,000 contract, I would rather have 6 to 10 contracts that equal the same amount of money that I would spend anyway, just so that I could trim. And this just makes it better, again, psychologically, just makes it better for me to see that I can trim at certain levels, and I can capture my profits without feeling, like a paper hands. Um, and so there's two options. You can trim based on risk reward, or you can trim based on price targets. So for me, I trade uh, the system of the strat, but also different levels of the strat. So I trade with Fibonacci levels, but I also trade the strat. If you trade EMAs, it's going to be a little tougher, but you can find supply and demand zones and use those as price targets. Fibonacci retracements, you can use, the negative 0.25 retracement and negative 618, and those can be price targets. Those are common systems. But you should always have price targets when you enter a play. And probably during Q&A, we'll go over a few examples of quality setup. Well, actually, we'll do it now. We'll go over a couple setups that I saw from this previous week, and then we'll actually show how to backtest them with ThinkOrSwim. Just real quick on here. Alrighty. So we will pop over to ThinkOrSwim. What ticker do you guys want to go over? I'll actually let you choose. I've seen a lot of Tesla and AMD, but somebody just throw me a ticker and we'll look at it.
SPY.
SPY. Alright, so as you know, I trade the strat, so we will look for a actionable signal and go from there. So we'll go this day. So on ThinkOrSwim, you can actually hit this little rewind button. It is called the bar replay. And what this does is you can choose a section. I have this blue horizontal line. You can choose where you want to put it. And then, so we'll put it right at the market open. And it simulates as if you don't know what's going on before. Obviously, I saw what happened before, so we're still going to go on this day. But what I do when I'm back testing is I make this as thin of a line as possible, and then I go back through and find a day, right? So we'll still start on this day, but that is how you should backtest, because if you backtest and cheat, it doesn't help you any. So make sure you're not cheating when you're backtesting. You should always try to simulate as much as you can to the real thing. So I never trade before 9:45, so we're going to skip to 9:45 at least. And we have a 212 set up right here. So I already see that this bar is going up. So I'm going to backtest and say right here is where my entry signal is. And then I might be able to hit two birds with one stone and show on demand as well. Give me just 1 second. Alright, so on your ThinkOrSwim, you can see here, right here is the on-demand feature. So I'm going to click that, and then it's going to look similar to if you're paper trading. So everything's going to be outlined yellow, but you can click up top here and click a date. So we said the 22nd is when we're going to start. So I believe it takes them a few days to add the market data in for the previous day, but we are good. And then you can change your time. So I'm in the Eastern time zone, so I know at 9:45 is when I was looking to enter that contract, because I had a 212 and it broke above. So if you're a stratter, you know that is your entry signal at 9:45. And so what we'll do is we'll go here to trade, SPY, type in SPY, gonna go to 0 DTEs, look for volume. Sometimes it takes a second here to pull up, so we're gonna look for volume. Might not be showing everything yet. So we'll say this contract here has a 1-point spread. Then you can say however many contracts you want to buy. So we'll just say 10 for fun. Confirm and send. And it should fill you. Let me reset real quick. Go back. 10. Oh, market. And it filled me 10 at 89 cents. Okay, so we're in this play. backtesting, and then we will go forward 1 bar. So you can click this guy, or you can hit shift and the right arrow. Go forward 1 bar. And my price target based on this, because this is kind of, for the day, is undiscoverable territory, we're looking for the high of pre-market. So right around this level, this is going to be the 3-hour high and low. You could also target this area here, which is an order block, which we might be stepping into, but we'll see. So that would be my first target here. So this would be, when I'm entering this play, that would be, unless I'm 20 or 30% in profit before then because of the Greeks, that's where I'm going to trim first. So we'll go up. We have a 3 up bar. So that was at 950. So what I'll do here in this field is we'll go into our time and we'll simulate to 950. And then it's going to buffer up here. Buffer, buffer, buffer. Oh, that might be at the start of 950. We have to go to candle close. So 955. And that would be my first trim. So let's see. Pre-buffering. All right, and we know that I bought about $1,000. I think I can add P&L. P&L percent right there. So contracts are up 52.81% based on that actionable signal. So first target's hit. I would say my entry was 0.89 and we're at 1.4 right now. So then let me pull up my backtesting sheet, and I can probably get with Trevor or Zach and get that as a template for you guys, which would probably help. Let's see. Spy backtest. So then I would go into my SPY backtesting sheet. I would say look for what contract I bought, and this is just so that if you ever want to go back and not necessarily audit yourself, but just see what maybe you were looking at on a win to ground yourself again. So just to go back over some wins and see what you did right, what you did to make money there. So I put the contracts, so I have a 375 call, bought at 0.89. So 375 call, expiration was daily, so 622, 0.89, and it got up to 1.4. And that's not 144%, but we can figure that out another time. But that is essentially what you do. Let's see, why is that? What line are we in? 48. Okay, got it. So that was wrong there. Okay. Well, I'll make sure it is correct the first. There we go. 57%. And you would just do this however many times. You know, I would go back through. My stop loss now is break even. My trims are going to be, next price target would be this zone right here, that high, just based on support and resistance. So we would have hit it right there. And you can actually cycle between time frames. So I would have trimmed around 957, and we've already hit it. So that is essentially how you would backtest with options. But to find price targets, we'll go a little further because I saw a little better setup. And this is just keeps going. So price target hit here, next 5-minute candle hit here. So we're up to 1025. Click our way to 1025. Let it buffer a little bit. and we would already be out of several contracts, but now we're up to 2.62, so 195% profit. And I'm looking for that 212 right there. All right, so we don't know exactly where the price target is down here. We've already hit all our price targets here. We're in kind of uncharted territory. You can use higher time frames, such as the 15-minute, 1 hour, or even daily chart to see where your next price targets should be, but they should mainly be support and resistance or order blocks. Just in general for your price targets. So we'll clear all our drawings, and this is a new play here. So we have a 212. We got a signal right here, stop loss right above the 1 bar for me. And we were triggered in, let's see, right here at 1049. So I'll reset my position. We'll go to 1048 and some change. Let it buffer. And then I'm going to look for a strike close to in the money. This is obviously going to depend on you and your portfolio, but generally I want to be a little out of the money for SPY 0 DTEs so that the delta can ramp up as it gets closer to the money. So I'll go 1 or 2 strikes out of the money. So we'll go here, go 10 again just for fun. And these are going to be 375 puts. So we got entered in there at 0.86. So I'll go over here, SPY 375 puts, 622.8. What did I say? 6.86. And then we will pause everything and make our own price targets. So we'll hit pause there. And now our price targets are going to be based on your strategy. So if I'm doing a Fibonacci retracement, right? Oh, wrong one, sorry. I'm going to be looking for the 50% retrace. So my first price target's going to be here at 375 or down here. If we go past this, we know that we're really in the green zone, and then we're looking for a bearish retrace. Right? So those are going to be my first 2 price targets, the white lines there. Then I'm going to look left and look for obstacles. So I can see here is a huge one at 373.96. Then you can go up in time frames and look for even bigger ones. So I can see on this candle here was a huge resistance zone, 373.12, and that probably will cover most of our resistance areas. You know, if we go to 370, we're going to be in some deep profits, but that probably won't happen in one day, so we'll go here for the time being. So we have a 212. My first price target is here at 375.44. Gives us about $1.50 of room. So there's another 212, and we hit our first price target there already at 1105. So I hope you guys are following along and seeing how I would do the backtesting piece, because that's going to help you with your trade management long term, because you know what your average gains and average losers are going to be. We haven't found a loser yet, but you would do the same thing if this did go up and hit my stop loss, or when I would be willing to call it invalid. Then I would go down to the 1 minute, see exactly when it hit it, and then I would get the contract price and write that down. So for the first price target, we are at 29%, so 1.10. Go back to your Excel sheet, 1.10, 27.91%. Then back to your trading view, we hit our second price target there, and probably are at stop loss break even already. So if you did get stopped out, but there's another actionable signal. So this, as you can see, this can go on forever. You see another 212 setup reversal. I'm looking bearish. There's my entry, there's my stop loss, and we're just smashing the take profits. So this is how you would backtest yourself. You would go in, see exactly when you entered, exactly when you exited. So this play is probably 30 minutes wide and probably a 50% gainer. So that is how you would backtest. Remember, you can. I'll show you how to do it on TradingView or Tradeovate as well. But that is how you would do it for my options guys, and we'll show it how you do it for the futures guys. So remember, hit your bar replay, and then you'll find a setup. You know, if you're using a setup like EMA, or if you're doing, you know, I have a ton of different systems here. So just depending on your system, I'll get this out to you as a template, and yeah, that's how you would do it. And this you'll do it similarly for futures. So for futures, we'll go to Tradeovate here. Log in to a demo, and we'll do market replay. So especially during the weekend for people who are finding out what system they like to use or how to trade futures, you can backtest anytime ever. Well, that's not true. You can backtest the last week of data on Tradeovate for free. So, like I said, I trade at 9:45. You can change your initial balance, um, stuff of that nature, and then start replay. Well, actually, it's going to make me go closer, so we'll go to that date and start replay. And then what I like about Tradeovate is, well, we are on ESU now. ESU 2. What I like about Tradeovate is they show the candle as it's forming versus TradingView does not. So you can change the speed of which you want to see the candle forming. You can do 100% speed if you want to do it as if it's real time, or 400%. So you would go here, then it looks like they already added some indicators here for me, but I believe they have one for the strat. Oh, my computer's freezing here. All right, and we should have the strat now. Oops. All right, so what I'll do is simply wait for a 2-1-2 setup or a 3-1-2 and analyze what we're looking at here. So here's a 2-1 setup. Looks like we're going to break below maybe. And I'll pause it as soon as we get a signal. So there's the signal there. I don't know why it's saying stop. So here, it's the same exact system as if you were doing it live trading or paper trading. So you buy, sell, you have your equity here, your margin. So my signals are already active there. So I can say I want to sell 3 contracts there. And then as you can see, because of the spread, I'm down 1 tick each, which if you remember from our previous class is $12.50 per contract. So for me, here we're looking at, 212. My next price target, because I believe it's the same day as before, my next price target's going to be right here where we had resistance before. Technically support before, but resistance to going further down. So my first target's going to be here at 370 or 37.32, but my stop loss is about 5 points. So my 1R would be right above that level, probably in here. So what I can do is set a buy limit because I'm short. You're going to buy limit, and this is going to ensure that you trim at 1R. So we'll go forward a little bit here.
Order filled.
And just see what happens.
Order filled.
So we got filled here. So remember, now we are stop loss break even. Sometimes I let it go a little more because I never want to get wicked in or out, which is why I never close before candle close on a play. I always wait for the candle close. So you can wait a little bit and see what happens, or you can immediately set your buy limit here to, or buy stop here, to make sure that you're never, not going to get faked out. So we'll let it keep going here. So it's already hit my first 1R, but my price target's going to be down here at 37.31. And as you can see, my risk was about 5 points, so 200 bucks a contract, so about 600 bucks. And we've already secured about half of that with just our first trim. And so you want to make sure you're obviously staying accurate with when you're trimming. So stop loss would have been broken even, but I was busy talking. So we'll go ahead and hop out of there. Bye bye.
Order filled.
And that is how to backtest on Tradeovate. So we'll do it one more time just for the people who may not have been watching. Where am I? Log out. Alright, so you'll go into your account, sign in, and you'll have simulation. So if you're going to paper trade, you'll do simulation, which shows you live data. Obviously, it's Sunday before 5 p.m., so the market is closed. So if I want to better myself and hone in on my strategy, I'll go into market replay. Then you can pick your date. So any of these days, highly recommend not looking at whatever data is before, or looking at any charts before on that specific day, so that you're just going to keep it as honest to the real thing as possible. You can say your initial balance. I don't know if there's a limit to like 5 million or whatever, but I just do 50,000 just because that's what's defaulted. And then you hit start replay here. And then make sure you're on the right contract. So these are obviously for a previous back test. So we'll close out of those old contracts. We're on you because those expire in September. And then you can adjust your speed here, pause, exit, or resume. And that covers that piece there. So we'll give a brief overview of Tradeovate's platform. A lot of you guys have expressed that you want to use ThinkOrSwim, so I'll show you how to sync those two up together as well. So first step is in your account. You're going to go to your Tradeovate, going to go to your application settings here and add-ons. And this is free for if you're funded, but some platforms are make you pay. So for you to trade from ThinkOrSwim, or sorry, from TradingView, it is going to cost $10 a month through Tradeovate. And then what you would do is enable that, and then you would go down here to your trading panel and log in here at Tradeovate and use your same login as before, and it'll sync up. And then you would have to find your current contract. So right now we are on ESU 2022, and then you would use these two buttons here at the top left. So if I want to sell, I'm going to use the left because you got to buy at the bid. And if you are selling, or if you're buying to go long, then you would buy at the ask. But if you're going to use Tradeovate's platform, we will go over that real quick. So Tradeovate, this is what it's going to look like default. You have zoom in, zoom out. So if you like to see more things, you can change what time frame you're on, 1 minute, stuff like that. You have your chart settings, so current position, fills orders, price levels, what you want to see. You can personalize this really to whatever you want to see. Auto fit chart, which helps keep the chart just centralized in here. You have your chart settings. So if you have certain indicators that you want to take on or off, you can do that in here as well. Indicators, you can do all the defaults, all the big defaults, volatility, ATRs, R size, EMAs. You can go to community indicators. The only community indicator that I use is the strat indicator, and then I just generally I have a price bias, and I'll trade the strat based on that price bias and look for an actionable signal. And then you can save templates as well. So if I wanted to change this to the strat with Bollinger Bands, then I can do that. And then if I ever get off of it or remove Bollinger Bands or certain indicators, like if I want to do this piece here and just remove all indicators and have a naked chart, I can do that and then go back to the templates. Same thing with TradingView. I'm not sure if you guys already have an intro to TradingView um, video or anything like that yet, but I primarily use TradingView. Well, I use TradingView for everything except for entering and exit. So what I do is I just chart, come over here and buy or sell. Um, and so, as you saw, big buy market, sell market. If you want to wait for price to come to you, you can join the bid or join the ask. And then up here next to the name, you can sort your tickers by color if that's your forte. And then you can also look for charts. So if you remember from last session, if I want to look up the micro, I have to type in M and then the current contract. So MES2. And then you can buy, and as you can see, it is a tenth of the price. And then they also have lots of things here if you're going to use their platform. This is just a quick down and dirty because I do want to get to Q&A as well. But you can look at quotes, tick stream, options chain, which doesn't really affect us, but you can see it here. And see what the options chain looks like. So that is the super quick down and dirty. And let's get to our Q&A.